Ever feel like you're trying to learn to surf, but like right as you're about to stand up, a tsunami's coming at you?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I feel about AI right now.
Oh, yeah, totally. It really is like that. Things are moving so fast.
We're going to be talking about how to not only survive, but actually like thrive in this crazy AI world. And we've got a great guide for that, author and entrepreneur, Trevor Nell.
Yeah. And he's not just, talking about it, he's actually using his business wisdom's difference makers as an example of how to put this stuff into practice.
Okay, so before we get into that, though, Nell quotes Mo Godot.
Yeah, the former CBO at Google X.
Right. And Godot says, quote, I've lived in a fast world all my life, but it's almost impossible to keep up. And if he's saying that, I mean, this guy was at the forefront of all this. So what hope is there for the rest of us?
Well, you have to remember, right? AI is different. It's not just about like the internet getting faster or phones getting smaller. It's the power of AI that's changing, and it's doubling like every 5.7 months.
Wait, really? Every 5.7 months.
Every 5.7 months. So, yeah, it's like exponential growth on steroids.
Okay. So it really is that fast. It's not just us feeling old.
No, no, it's really happening that quickly.
But Nell seems to be saying, though, like, instead of freaking out about being left behind, we should try to see this as, like, an opportunity.
Exactly. It's about, aligning yourself, your strategy with where this whole thing is headed.
And where is it headed? I
Yeah.
mean, Godot has some pretty strong opinions about that, right? He talks about both like a utopia and a dystopia. Like, best case scenario, AI solves all our problems, but worst case, it, takes over and we're all doomed.
He does, but I think it's important to remember, his overall point is that greater intelligence leads to greater altruism. Whether that intelligence is human or artificial, that's his belief. But the key, and he's very strong about this, the key is instilling the right values in AI from the very beginning.
Okay, so it's like any tool, right? Like
Yeah.
a hammer can build a house or it can, be used as a weapon. It depends on who's holding it. But then he goes on to say, and this part kind of freaked me out, that AI could actually take over governance because, and I'm quoting here, humans are too slow and stupid in our decision making. Is he seriously suggesting like robot presidents?
Well, he's not talking about robots exactly. What he's saying is that AI could potentially make decisions more efficiently and objectively than humans, without all the biases and emotions that get in the way.
Okay, so it's more like AI as advisors, maybe, not necessarily calling all the shots.
Right. He sees it as a way to maybe overcome some of the limitations of human governance.
It's still a pretty wild idea. But let's get back to Trevor Nell. So he's got this project, Wisdom's Difference Makers, right? And he's actually using it as a case study for how to adapt to this AI future that we're talking about.
Exactly. And he's doing it in a really interesting way. He's not just, writing about it or theorizing. He's actually using AI tools to analyze his own project.
Okay, so how does that work? What kind of AI tools is he using?
Well, one of the tools he's using is called Notebook LM. It's made by Google, and it's basically like imagine a super-powered research assistant.
Okay, like a research assistant that's read every book ever written and can connect all the dots.
Yeah. And it can analyze text, like speeches or articles for deeper meaning and pull out the key themes and insights.
And Nell was using this to, what, analyze his business plan?
Kind of. He's using it to analyze conversations between Molgadot and other AI experts, like really smart people thinking about the future of AI.
Okay, so he's like checking his work against the best minds in the field.
Right.
I love that. And what did this AI tool reveal about his project?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, well, now I really want to know. So let's dig into that a little more.
Let's. So, like I was saying, Nell used Notebook LM to analyze these conversations. And what's interesting is he didn't just like feed it a project summary or anything.
Right, right. He went deeper than that.
Exactly. He wanted to see, how his project aligned with the bigger picture, the kind of future these X-books were talking about.
Okay, so he's using AI to tap into this collective wisdom, but what was he looking for specifically?
Well, one of the things that kept coming up, like a really strong theme, was this idea of wisdom being crucial for navigating this whole AI thing.
Wisdom. So it's not just about AI getting smarter.
No, it's about it getting wiser. Like, it can't just be about processing power or speed.
Right. So we need AI with like a moral compass or something?
Yeah, something like that. And this is where Nell really gets into it, in his own work. He talks about how a wise AI would not only be able to, analyze data and solve problems, but it would also be able to understand and apply ethical principles. Think about the long-term consequences of its actions, and actually contribute to the well-being of humanity.
Man, that's a tall order. How do you even begin to program that into a machine?
It's a huge challenge, absolutely. And one of the things that these experts kept coming back to, this idea of collective intelligence, it's something that Null really emphasizes in his approach.
You mentioned that earlier, collective intelligence. Can we unpack that a bit? Like, what does that even mean?
Basically, it's like imagine all these different minds, from all over the world, all these diverse perspectives coming together, sharing their knowledge, their experiences. The idea is that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
It's like crowdsourcing wisdom.
In a way, yeah. And the idea is that AI can help us do this even better, like connect people who might never have met, translate languages, synthesize huge amounts of information, make it easier for us to learn from each other.
So instead of like an AI overlord, it's more like AI helping us become smarter, more connected as a species.
Right. It's about leveraging AI to enhance our own collective intelligence.
Okay. And how does all of this connect back to Nell's project, this Wisdom's Difference Makers thing?
So Nell realizes, right, that building this network of people who want to make a difference is just the first step. He also needs to connect these people with organizations, movements that are already out there, working on these big problems that we face as a society.
So it's like bringing together the individual passion with the organized power of these groups that are already doing the work.
Exactly. And that's where his use of Notebook LM is so interesting, because by analyzing these conversations between experts, he's basically tapping into like a collective intelligence about AI itself. He's getting a better understanding of the values, the priorities, even the potential dangers that are shaping the field.
So it's like he's using AI to get a glimpse into the future of AI and then using that knowledge to shape his own strategy.
And you know what? It wasn't all just like confirming what he already thought.
Oh, so the AI actually challenged his thinking.
Well, it did point out a potential blind spot in his initial plan.
Okay, now you've got to tell me about this. What was the blind spot?
It turns out that while Nell was really focused on empowering individuals, to be these agents of change, the AI analysis showed that a lot of these experts were talking about the need to address systemic issues.
Systemic issues, so like the bigger picture stuff.
Exactly. Things like inequality, climate change, these huge interconnected problems that individual action alone, no matter how good your intentions are, can't really solve.
Right, so you could be the best surfer in the world, but if a tsunami hits, you're still in trouble.
Right, and this is where Nell's response is so important. He didn't see this as like, oh no, I messed up.
Okay, so he didn't scrap the whole project.
No. He saw it as an opportunity to make it even better.
So what did he do? How did he adapt?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about next. This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, so we left off with Trevor Nell, realizing that his project, while awesome in its focus on individual change makers, might be missing this bigger piece about systemic change. What did he do with that?
Well, like I said, he didn't just throw in the towel. Instead, he was like, okay, how can I make this even stronger? How can I incorporate this feedback,
Yeah, that's great. So how did he actually change his strategy?
He realized that to really make a difference, to really move the needle on these huge problems, he needed to connect these individual change makers with organizations, groups, movements that are already working on these issues.
Well, that's smart. So it's like one person can make a difference, but a whole group of people working together can make an even bigger difference.
Right. It's about like bringing together the passion and energy of individuals with the kind of the infrastructure and the resources of, these larger organizations that are already tackling these systemic problems.
I like that. So it's not just about individual action. It's about collective action.
Exactly. And this is something that Nell emphasizes a lot. AI isn't just about making things faster or automating tasks. It's also about like helping us understand these complex systems, see the bigger picture. Like, I think he uses the analogy of, seeing the forest for the trees.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, because sometimes it's so easy to get caught up in the details that you lose sight of the overall goal.
Right. And AI can help us with that. It can help us zoom out, and see those connections that we might otherwise miss.
This is really making me rethink how I see AI. It's not just a technology. It's like,
right.
It's a way of thinking. It's a way of approaching problems.
It really is. It's about using data, using insights to make smarter decisions, whether we're talking about our own lives, our businesses, or, the world as a whole.
And the cool thing is these tools like Notebook LM, they're becoming more and more accessible, right?
Yeah. You don't have to be like a tech genius or a millionaire to use them. A lot of them are free even.
So if someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, this is fascinating, but what can I actually do? How can I use this in my own life? What would you say to them?
I'd say just start exploring. There are so many amazing AI tools out there. Play around with them, see what insights you can uncover. You might be surprised at what you discover.
That's such a great point. And, like Trevor Nell shows us, it's not about just blindly following what the AI tells you. It's about using AI as a partner, a collaborator,
Yeah.
to help you think differently, to see things from a new perspective.
Yeah. And to ultimately, make better decisions and create positive change in the world.
Well, I don't know about you, but I am feeling very inspired right now.
Me too.
Like, I want to go try out all these AI tools and see what I can discover. So thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. It's been really, really eye-opening.
My pleasure. It's been great talking about this.